Testicles, testicles, wallet, and watch.
Red leather, yellow leather.
The rain
Monopoly
in
man.
Spain stays mainly in the plain.
All right, you ready for the countdown? I'll do it this time.
Ready. I'm low energy, but I'm gonna try and get hype.
All right. Well, I'll hype you up.
Let's hype it up with some presidents. That's gonna. Yep.
All right, ready?
I'm ready. Lay it on.
3. Good.
Oh, we gotta clap. I forgot. I thought we were already doing it. Whoopsies.
3.
I just thought we were perfectly fine.
Okay, wait. You paying attention?
No.
Okay, wait. 3, 2, 1.
That was
Good.
flawless.
Bueno.
Perfect. We weren't recording before then. I didn't forget to clap. No siree.
Wait, so you're recording and you clap?
I clapped. Yeah. But I was talking about all that content that will not be a part of the podcast is lost.
Oh, yeah.
I have low energy,
yeah.
but lay it on me, I think is what I said.
We're already a minute in of us talking.
Hey, you know what?
We're
I'm here
just
to
starting
help.
the podcast now.
I'm here to help you fill the void and just chit-chat away.
All right, so where did we leave off? An assassination.
An assassination. A dark day falls upon the land of America. James A. Garfield shot at a train station.
By a crazy man.
By a man
I
who
think-
believed him to be helpful in... No, but he wasn't.
I think it would be good for me to give you a little quiz to start off. To test
Ooh,
you out.
okay. I love a good quiz.
And then you can like give a summation of what we've learned so far.
Okay.
Oh, also, a little sidebar before the quiz. I found that there's a podcast that also has all the presidents in order.
Oh, interesting. We have competition.
Yeah, well, they're already done theirs, and they're also, I think, the Washington Post. So
Oh.
better finance. They definitely. I definitely listened to it before we're doing this one, so
That's nice.
might be a little derivative, but it
I mean...
gives a nice. There's something I learned that I think is very important. I think that this would have been boring if I didn't learn about this, and then. Because this woman, sorry, Freudian slip. This story has an interesting twist to it,
I love a twist.
woman.
I love a drama.
and that's a woman.
Ooh.
But not. I
like
don't
a
think it's a
mistress?
romantic. No.
Oh.
Okay, so let me ask you a few questions. That's just to warm the audience up, get them excited. So where are we in history? Have you heard the term the Gilded Age?
Yeah, I think I touched on that or read about that. Or I've heard, I don't know if that's like, like my high school history class, like whatever was, like spoken at me during those formative years is maybe that's what's firing the neurons in my head. But I feel like I've read that recently when I was looking at the James A. Garfield stuff.
Yeah, I think what the definition, like not the definition, the time frame that we're in right now is the Gilded Age of American history. Before this was the Reconstruction era, and then after this is the Progressive era, like where the 1900s start up until the Great Depression or World War I, I guess.
Which I guess makes sense because like they've settled. People are like, there's like at least been a generation that's been born here, like if not more too. So it's like that tracks because like George Washington started doing his stuff in like basically 1797 is when he finished being president. So we're almost
It's like old news now.
we're like 100 years. Wait, no, that's incorrect. That was not that's not good math. Or am I correct?
Almost. Oh, we're getting close.
We're getting close to 100 years. No, wait, no, that math doesn't sound correct, right?
Like I think the 18 like. Yeah, like we're getting close to 100 years of when you're saying when Washington died, or
no, like when he was no longer president. But I feel like my math's off. But that could just be I'm horrible at math.
I think it's round. We could round up.
1797 to 18. Wow, yeah.
He died like in the 1700s.
Wait.
So he was in 1797. He was president. Like that's when he left. So yeah, we're over 100 years now.
That's bonkers.
Chester
That has
Arthur.
to be bonkers in my. Sorry, that time is a wibbly wobbly.
It is bonkers.
Scary.
You can use the word bonkers.
Am I allowed to
It's
use the word bonkers?
Yeah, yeah. I'll allow it. I'll censor it out. I'll beef it
I
up.
feel like, is bonkers a swear word?
You're making fun of bonkers people.
Am I? I think it's bonkers.
You're using it as a derogatory.
Am I? I bonkers to me is like a British slang of like
It's probably like test.
wild or well that's no, what are those? There's
I
something else.
don't know. I'm just making up stuff.
Anyways. It is
Anyways, the Gilded Age.
wibbly wobbly.
So I'd say basically this is kind of like we're coming to the end of the Gilded Age with Chester Arthur, and also so the Civil War, it has now been like about 15 years old, so it's kind of getting old news too. Like think about what year is it now, 2023. Think about 15 years ago. What was going on back then? Get the calculator out.
I mean, 15 years ago was like
2008. So
yeah, like
it's like the great financial crisis
yeah,
equivalent.
or like I feel like that's when like Facebook, Instagram was first kind of like starting to like do its thing. Like, because Facebook was like 2007, I think, when it popped off internationally. Because like it was out and about a couple years before that in like the college scene, but it wasn't like a mainstream area. And then it basically took over MSN, and it became the how you communicated with people. So it's like
How you share photos.
yeah,
with
that's I guess the social network generation began. In like that.
The iPhone 1 came out in 2007.
Yeah. So it was.
So imagine like you're looking back at the iPhone and that was when the Civil War was. So it's some time has passed. And so we ended the story with James A. Garfield being shot. But first we'll go back in time and tell a little bit about Chester Alan Arthur. He was born on October 5th, 1829. And he was an American politician, obviously. He was a Republican, of course, because we've had a long spell of them, and he was from New York. And basically, there was because the Republicans have now had been in power for so long. They've kind of even branched off into two separate groups. Did you read about this for your last president?
I did a little bit. I think there was a stint that James A. Garfield was like a part of a like extremist republic or something for like 6 months or something.
Mm-hmm. I believe he would have been considered the half breeds.
Right, that's what it was.
There was the stalwarts and the half breeds.
Yeah.
And from what I gathered, it seemed the only thing that they had. We've talked about this like for weeks now because this has been the growing contention between the two factions of the Republican Party, but the matter of patronage and civil service reform. So we talked about it a little bit, but patronage is just like when the president was selected, he would select the people who would do the civil service jobs, right? So it's kind of like you pick your friends, people who would pay you money before you became president. You pick your son or your daughter. Right? Maybe not your daughter back then, but
maybe your daughter dressed as a son.
Yeah, like a Mulan kind of situation.
Because then James started it, and I think Chester finished off the signing of that, being like, you have to be.
Hey,
whoa! Sorry, I stepped on toes.
The secret sauce, Judge.
Spicy.
Yeah. So, the interesting thing about Chester. Okay, I have to get to. So he was a collector at the Port of New York, which was like big time, big boss job. Like He was rolling in dough. He made more money than the president of the United States, for
Wow.
God's sake.
For God's sakes.
Um, like him becoming prime minister. My Canadian show. Him becoming vice president was like a downgrade from his job.
Interesting.
Like he was okay. So there was and Chester A. Arthur was stalwart. So the opposite of
interesting.
James Garfield. Yeah. So back then he'd so Ulysses S. Grant appointed him as the collector of the Port of New York in 1871. So back when he was president, when Ulysses S. Grant was president. And there's this guy named Conklin, Roscoe Conklin, who was like the head of the stalwart faction.
Okay.
And basically he called the civil service reform Snivel service reform.
Spicy.
Yeah, just throwing out some
smack
slurs.
talk.
Not slurs, but yeah, smack talk,
probably
trash
better.
talk. Yeah, yeah. And so there was kind of like this growing contention between the Republican Party at this time. And do you know why? Do you have any? Do you know why he picked Chester Arthur? It says, maybe I'll have to ask ChatGPT this one, but
can I guess? I'm gonna
why?
guess. I mean, from what
you take a guess while I'm.
Yeah. I'm gonna guess that the reason James picked Chester was because he was a politician. So I think he was very much like bipartisan. So he wanted to have kind of like both sides at the table to like challenge. Is what I'm suspecting.
Maybe an attempt to bring
people together. Yeah.
The factions together.
Because I think too, it's like they're still pretty close to Lincoln, right? So it's like there's almost like a feeling that filling shoes behind you is a tough.
I believe for Chester Arthur's presidency, he had Todd Lincoln, his son, as the war whatever, like the head of war. I don't know.
Secretary of State.
The head war
guy.
Let me see here, Todd.
The General something. Colonel Sanders.
Colonel Sanders. The Secretary of War.
I'm so sorry.
Okay.
I dropped something. I'm sorry, the listeners. That was a loud sound.
It's okay. It's okay. We'll just cover it with the sound
like
effect. A whiz.
Yeah,
Woo.
or I would love a awooga.
Awooga. Awooga. I'll just do it with my voice. Okay, so here's what ChatGPT says about why did James A. Garfield pick Chester A. Arthur as his vice president. James A. Garfield chose Chester A. Arthur as his vice president primarily for political reasons and to achieve a sense of balance within the Republican Party during the 1880 presidential election.
Called it.
Garfield was a
Sorry.
Yeah. Oh, you're better. You're smarter than ChatGPT.
For now.
This is just ChatGPT
Yeah, exactly.
3.5. I'm not paying for 4.
Yeah, that tracks.
Garfield was a moderate Republican from Ohio, and he wanted to appeal to the stalwart faction of the party, which was led by Roscoe Conklin. So we know that it's not bullshitting. Chester Arthur was a New York lawyer and politician, was a prominent member of the stalwart faction, and in close ties to Conklin. By selecting Arthur as his running mate, Garfield aimed to secure the support of the stalwarts and gain a crucial backing in the election. I guess that makes sense because you want the other half to vote for you too. Furthermore, Garfield's decision to choose Arthur was a strategic move to help unify the Republican Party, which had been divided since the stalwarts and the half-breeds, a more reformed-minded faction. Period. End of sentence. By selecting a stalwart like Arthur, Garfield hoped to bridge the gap between the two factions and prevent internal strife and harm. Ultimately, yeah. Okay, so it was a political move.
Yeah, and that tracks. Like I feel like that makes sense because you want. I mean, I'm basing this off of like competition reality TV where it's like there's this constant debate of like, do you send home your biggest competition or do you bring the biggest competition for you to like go up against, because it's more honorable to be like, game recognizes game, I'm gonna bring you with me. We may be enemies, but I still respect like what you bring to the table, and we may disagree on things, but that's how you get somewhere. Pop off.
And you're still better than those racists.
Hey, racists, fuck off.
One thing I was curious when I was reading all this was, it didn't really say, because it wasn't really had nothing to do with his presidency, but like what was going on in the South back then, like because we've only had like Republican presidents. Yeah, I feel like we've not represented like the history of the South.
I think there's a couple attempts.
Just like
I think there was a couple of attempts during, like they keep trying to start their own state again, like their own separate. I think.
Did they?
I think I remember.
I'm assuming this was the time when the Ku Klux Klan got started. Then, because
I'd have to look at it. I don't know. Hey guys, I don't know the history of the.
Maybe I'll read up. We're making this up. Okay, wait. I'll ask ChatGPT. During this time.
Because I know they were at the height of their power in like. During the class. Like when you'd have like separated bathrooms, separated drinking fountains. But I think that was in like the 20s. And I mean, we're not far from that, but we're still not close enough. Also, I did the math, by the way. It currently, like with Chester A. Arthur's inauguration, we're 92 years into America being its own country. Obviously, people settled there way before that when it was under British rule, but 100 years, that just feels insane to me. But it makes sense because, time passes.
We're already on episode
21?
20-something.
21?
21? Yeah. So this is what it said. During the redemption period, white Democrats in the South sought to regain political control from the Republican Party, which had gained influence during Reconstruction, particularly through the support of African American voters. Though the combination of voter suppression tactics, violence, and political maneuvering, white Democrats gradually reestablished dominance in the region. This period witnessed the rise of various discriminatory laws and practices collectively known as Jim Crow laws. Yeah, okay, so that's what I figured. Which enforced racial segregation and denied civil rights to African Americans. These laws aimed to maintain white supremacy and control over political and social institutions in the South. As a result, the political situation in the South during Garfield's presidency was one of entrenched white Democratic rule and the suppression of African American political power. African Americans faced significant barriers to voting, and their representation in the government and public office was severely limited. The South regained a stronghold. Okay, so nothing good.
Nothing good.
Okay, so nothing good. Okay, so where did we leave off? So he's selected Chester A. Arthur as his running mate, and then he won. And then he got shot. Dun, dun, dun. Okay, so at this time, people were starting to get conspiratorially minded, and they're like, maybe it was the stalwarts who shot this guy, because they hated, like they hated the patronage. Like, there's a lot of money riding on the line to not have civil service reform, and there's some pretty powerful bigwigs in New York who have an interest in having Chester Arthur as president. So immediately accusations started flying, but it was eventually determined that he had nothing to do with it. But then all of a sudden, Chester Arthur is sitting. That before he was. Okay, wait. I have to mention also that James A. Garfield, before he died, he was sick. Like, he was in bedridden for a very long time. So there was a very long period of time before Chester Arthur had a feeling that he would die, and that he knew he would be president until he was president. So there's about, I don't know, maybe a couple weeks or so. And in this time, He's sitting at his office, I'm assuming, and the letter appears on his desk from somebody who has mailed it in. And this is what the letters say. This is what the first letter of 23, may I mention, says. The hours of Garfield's life are numbered. Before this meets your eye, you may be president. The people are bowed in grief, but do you realize it? Not so much because he is dying, as because you are his successor. What president ever entered office under circumstances so sad? The day Garfield was shot, the thought rose in 1,000 minds that you might be the instigator of the foul act. Is not that a humiliation which cuts hold on, sorry. Pause. Is not that a humiliation that cuts deeper than any bullet can pierce? Your kindest opponents say Arthur will try to do right, adding gloomily, he won't succeed, though. Making a man president cannot change him. But making a man president can change him. Great emergencies awaken generous traits which have lain dormant half a life. There is a spark of true nobility in you. Now is the occasion to let it shine. Faith in your better nature forces me to write to you. But not to beg you to resign. Do what is more difficult and brave. Reform. It is not proof of highest goodness. Again. It is not proof of highest goodness never to have done wrong, but it is a proof of it. Sometimes one's career to pause and ponder, to recognize the evil, to turn resolutely against it. Once in a while, there comes a crisis which renders miracles feasible. The great tidal wave of sorrow which has rolled over the country has swept you loose from the old moorings and set you on a mountaintop alone. Disappoint our fears, force the nation to have faith in you. Show from the first that you have none but the purest of aims. You cannot slink back into obscurity. If you would, 100 years hence, schoolboys will recite your name in the list of presidents and tell of your administration. What shall posterity say? It is for you to choose. Signed, Julia Sand.
Wow.
Julia Sand, who's
what
that?
What a hype woman.
I know. And so Julia Sand was an American woman who corresponded with President Chester A. Arthur in the beginning in late August 1881. Arthur saved 23 letters, all of which were discovered in 1958 after his grandson, Chester Arthur Allen III, sold his grandfather's paper to the Library of Congress. The last surviving letter is dated September 15th, 1883. It is not known whether Arthur ever wrote back, as no letter from him has ever been found. Sand often referred to herself as the president's little dwarf, an allusion to the idea that in a royal court, only the dwarf would have the courage to tell the truth. So I guess one interesting thing is before Chester Arthur died, he burnt all his correspondence except for her letters, and those are the only things he kept. So they must have had they must have been the cause for his turn of
confidence to be able to do the job, I guess, or just be like,
Mm-hmm.
don't. There were some powerful sentences in there. I really liked making a man a president will make or however it went.
Mm-hmm. And apparently she was let's see here. She lived in Brooklyn, and she was. I think that she was bedridden. It said. Yeah. So, at the time she began writing to Arthur, she was bedridden due to spinal trouble, lameness, and deafness. But she was she was very interested in politics, but because she was a woman, she didn't have the vote. So
yeah,
she I guess this is how she felt the best way she could make a change was just writing him letters directly.
Might as well.
That's
what's crazy about this is it's almost like, so Chester and Garfield were opposites of political sides of the spectrum, but they also had fans who were similar but like opposite. So you had two extremists who like also love politics that would probably write to them. Garfield's kills him because thinks he took his place. She just was like, I'm related to politics. Here's some ideas. Here's a hype up, my dude.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting.
Yeah, and I don't know. I don't know if he was ever, if there's any ever romantic thing between them, but he did have a wife named Ellen who had died before he became
President of the United States of America. That's interesting. I mean, I honestly, whenever this becomes a movie in my fantasy, I like to think that they were like friends. They were like college friends, and she was really into it. She was really smart about it, but obviously couldn't go anywhere with it.
Mm-hmm. It's like You've Got Mail or something. That's how.
Yeah,
you remember that? Do you ever see that movie?
With Meg Ryan? That's
With,
like old school 90s.
Yeah. And so he actually ended up. So when Roscoe Conklin was like, "All right, buddy, it's time. Let's nip this in the bud," he said no, and then he really burned all his relationships.
Wow.
He said like you owe this, like Roscoe's like, you owe this like to us, and then he said, I owe it to the country to do it what's right. And so I think that's quite kind of nice. He had like a turning like a character turning point. All based off of a letter. And so they ended up passing civil service reform, and I think that's like, I don't know, that's not as big as like the 13th Amendment, but I think it's important to have people who work in positions who have the skills and not just have the network, you know.
Yeah. Well, I think too, it's like this is a country based like that rose up against a monarchy. So I think it's like them realizing like if we're basically doing a mini monarchy if we're just bringing in our sons, you know, that don't either A want to do it or B have the skills to do it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Also, not just because of I was listening and I'm not all of a sudden going back to this, but I think the reason I flipped out so much about the year, so I looked it up because I needed to know. America has been a country for 245 years. I'm assuming that's
as of today.
I don't know if that's updated as of today. Maybe it's 246, seeing as Independence Day was just recently.
True.
But Canada is only 156. So that's why when I heard 100, I was like, no way we're 56 years to like now. That math doesn't make sense, but no, that makes more sense now that America's older than us.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, even 150 years is a long time.
Yeah. But like us being at 96, I was like, that math, that's only a few presidents.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And some of them weren't even 4 years because they died.
Exactly. Some of them were months. So far we've had 1 natural death, 2 assassinations? Or 2 natural deaths.
One was milk and what was it? Strawberry?
Milk and cherries. Milk and cherries and being out too late at night during the rain.
Yeah, talking in the rain.
And then
two assassinations.
2 assassinations. I think that's it, right? I don't know if another.
I think so. This honestly though, this guy Chester Arthur got okay. Well, I won't jump ahead, but. What I didn't tell you is during his whole presidency, he knew that he was very sick.
Oh, interesting.
And he was very ill, but he never told anyone. So let's see. Let me just try and say he didn't really do much other than that, but I still think that was like an important part. So during this time, there was kind of a lot of racism toward people from I guess China because the Chinese they came in, they were like cheap labor to build the railroads, and people felt that they were stealing their jobs.
Yeah, so there was a letter for that's one thing I remember from my research with Garfield is there was a letter when he was first sworn in, they were like, "Oh, look at he's supporting the people coming over," and everyone was freaking out that they were going to lose their jobs to immigrants, and it was a fake letter.
Oh yeah, I remember you saying that.
Yeah. Now I don't know what his stance was on it, but I assume he was against it. I don't know. I don't know if he was for or against it.
I'm just trying to remember. I read that part late last night. Let me ask the old oracle here.
The oracle of
time. I don't think he was against it, but he was. There was like Oh, it says devolved over time. Okay, so Chester Arthur's view on Chinese immigrants was complex and evolved over time. When he served as vice president under James A. Garfield and later assumed the presidency after Garfield's assassination in 1881, Arthur initially supported restricted policies targeting Chinese immigrants. At that time, there was a growing anti-Chinese... Okay, we already said all this. Congress passed the Chinese Exclusion Act in 1982, which restricted Chinese immigration and barred Chinese laborers from entering the country for a period of 10 years. As president, Arthur signed the Chinese Exclusion Act into law. This legislation was a significant departure from previous policies, as it marked the first time in U.S. history that a specific ethnic group was targeted for exclusion based on their nationality. However, it's worth noting that Arthur's stance on Chinese immigration was not entirely one-sided. In 1880, before assuming the presidency, Arthur vetoed a similar piece of legislation known as the Chinese Exclusion Act of 18... So that's probably what you're talking about, of 1879. In a veto message, he expressed concerns about the potential negative impact on Chinese-U.S. relations and the potential violation of obligations with China. So it didn't seem like he... it wasn't his idea, but he's like, okay, if everyone else
wants it,
like if Congress... Yeah. Like he's just...
Which I was very much like him. He was very much like he would only go if like something was going to get signed type of deal. He's like, I'm not going to go if we're just going to like argue about it and not get anywhere with it with no traction. He was definitely a do stuff, a go-getter.
And then the other thing it says here was the naval resurgence. So I guess maybe because the Civil War was just like the last war they had, there wasn't much of a navy in the war, so they started building that up through him. And there's this thing called the ABCD ships, which stood for what did it stand for again? Atlanta, Boston, Chicago, and then Dolphin. I don't know why the last one is just a random dolphin.
Just dolphin.
Yeah, maybe they ran out of places that started with a D.
I guess.
Yeah, it's called. The ships were called the Squadron of Evolution.
Whoa.
Yeah.
SpaceX.
Space Force. This doesn't really have anything to do with Chester Arthur, but it happened during when he was president, and it seemed to be like a big story. The sixth Greely polar expedition. This Greely polar expedition. There was six. Okay, let me see. There's a crew, of a guy named Greely who went up north, I think, and they got stuck. And that's kind of why I think now that they had the Navy, they were able to rescue them. But it turns out that they probably ate some of each other to survive. Yeah. Evidence suggested that the men had survived through cannibalism, and there's only 6 survivors.
Do you know how many were total on the expedition or the group?
Let me see here. Let me use ChatGPT. I'll just get it to read this paragraph from me. Whoops. So how's what's new? What's the next? What's the how many? I'm trying to talk while I type this. How many people?
You're really good at multitasking. I don't think I could speak at all. I'm surprised you're even getting some words out. They weren't. It wasn't a full sentence, but it was enough. I mean, the next big thing. What's going on? What's going on in the world? Um.
It was 25 men. So 25 men, 6 survivors.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Yikes.
The original Greely scientific polar expedition began with a crew of 25 men. They set off from Newfoundland on July 7th, 1881, on the whaling ship Proteus. Upon arriving at Lady Franklin Bay in August 1881, the Proteus dropped off the men and supplies and departed, leaving the expedition stranded. The crew then built Fort Conger as their refuge and scientific base. Over time, the expedition faced multiple challenges and setbacks. 2 supply efforts in 1882 and 1883 failed to reach the stranded crew. Eventually, in September 1883, with no relief in sight, Greely and his party left Fort Conger and established Camp Clay at Cape Sabine on Pym Island. By the time the rescue mission... Oh, man, so they were there for years. 3 years.
3 years?
By the time the... Yeah, that's a lot of eating people.
I'm
By the
assuming
time
they
the rescue mission...
survived another...
Well, think about it. If you got
sustenance.
25 men...
I guess.
If you got 25 men
But
minus
it's
6,
not
that's 19 people.
Sorry,
Or one guy a month.
where were they stranded?
Newfoundland.
Okay, so...
Oh, wait, no, they're up north, but they left from Newfoundland.
Oh, okay. I was going to say, so it's not like perpetually winters. There's like, you know, a couple months in there that are like still rough wilderness, but, you know.
Mm-hmm.
They could have hunted.
Oh, so
Not-
they rescued 7. They rescued 7 people, but one of them died shortly after due to multiple amputations.
Oh, God.
So that means they were eating them piece by piece.
Oh, no.
Disturbing evidence suggested that the men had to resort to cannibalism in their desperate struggle for survival. So they would eat the guys piece by piece. They just ate his arm of the last guy. They must have drawn straws or something.
Oh, I don't think I could do that.
Yeah.
I definitely would not survive.
So does that mean you'd be the first person to be eaten?
I mean, just don't tell me. Like, just kill me and just say it's because we're all doing it, and then I don't
we're
care.
all doing a suicide pact.
Yeah. And then
and then when you get the first bullet, and they're like, oh,
Thank
thank
God.
God.
Yeah,
It wasn't
me. Exactly. Yeah, I don't think I would do well in a like natural disaster or not natural disaster. I guess like rescue situation. Like if I was stranded somewhere, I don't think I would do well.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I would try. I wouldn't just give up.
Yeah.
But I definitely wouldn't.
What
resort
would you
to
do?
People.
Like, let's imagine that you were stranded on an island. What would you do? What's the game plan?
The game plan? I mean, find somewhere dry to sleep. Like, find a safe, dry space.
Water and shelter. Fire.
Yeah. Fire,
Fire and
and
food.
then, yeah, I guess trying to find... I guess it depends where we are, right? Because it's like, if it's just, like, North American wilderness, I don't know if I'd know a berry from a mushroom, but I could probably, you know, scrounge up something. Yeah. Or fish. I would just fish, probably.
Mm-hmm.
Dig up some worms.
Yeah, you just need make a fishing rod.
Yeah, or just
or a spear.
Just get a spear or something. Or make a net, like a basket net of some sort to like leave it out there with bait in it, and the fish just go in during the day or at night.
You could even eat fish raw, I guess, like sushi.
True. Yeah.
You don't have to cook
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
Probably be better if you cooked it.
Yeah. And I know how to clean a fish, so like I have that in my memory bank. So like I could at least like separate the fish from the fun bits. But yeah. I know you have to make sure you're
But how
warm
you
and
plan on
fed.
getting off of this island?
Oh,
Is it a plan to get out?
I mean, of course. I guess I would put some sort of beacon or written like
A big old SOS made out of logs.
SOS or some sort of like, you know, like artificial, like, or not artificial, but like, yeah, like I would do something to like the edge of like a beach or a clearing so that if there were helicopters looking for me, they could find me. But I'm assuming I'm by myself. If we're with people, that might be helpful, but I don't know if I could resort to
Yeah, I don't know.
Canada.
Have you ever seen the movie Triangle of Sadness?
No, it's on my list. I've heard good things. I've heard clips.
It's
Seen
very good.
clips.
I don't want to spoil. Yeah, I won't spoil it then. But kind of has an interesting twist to that kind of story, like a survival
the one
story.
clip I saw gave me like Lord of the Flies vibes, where like this
Mm-hmm.
power there's like this they're on a cruise ship and there's this power dynamic with like the people who are on the yacht on the cruise, and then the moment they're
Mm-hmm.
off, it's like a class shift. The moment
Yeah.
it's no longer money, it's now skills, and so now the people who are considered lower class now have have more survivability skills than these Richie Poos, which I think is an interesting twist.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The other one,
It's very good. I think it was one of my favorite movies of
yeah,
last year.
yeah. It also had a nice like
Mm-hmm.
like dark comedy twist. A bit,
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Yeah, I really like that
Yeah,
director.
okay. I'll have to watch it. I'm just I'm lazy and I always forget to watch stuff.
You're too lazy to watch movies?
Kinda. I need sometimes I.
You watched Avatar
So,
too?
I did watch Avatar too, though I did pause it. But
Oh,
yeah. But a lot of the times, the stuff I need to watch is like I'm a big multitasker. We're not even talking about presidents. I'm a big multitasker, so I have to have something on that it has to be low
Gotta
thought.
be doing two things at once.
So that I can listen in the background. And I won't do other things, type of thing. Or if it's like a deep thinker, I have to really be into it to watch it. Speaking of cannibalism, another one that I need to watch is Yellow Jackets, and I'm pretty sure there's cannibalism in that one.
Oh, I've heard it. I just heard of that one actually recently.
I've heard.
You haven't started it
I haven't
yet?
started
I
it,
haven't
but
either.
I've been told by many people I need to watch it.
Yeah, I was thinking of starting it. Maybe I'll give it a try. I'm kind of in between shows right now. I don't really have anything on the go.
I'm embarrassed to say that my current show I'm watching is Below Deck, which is
Is that a reality show?
It's a reality
Yeah.
TV show about people who run yachts. So it's like the captain, the deckhands, and the stewardess, and they will like basically host someone wealthy, and it's their like couple weekend events, and of course like stuff happens while on the trip where like the rich people are crazy asking for these crazy stuff, or something mechanical will happen with the ship, or there's like interpersonal drama because like everyone's sleeping with each other on this boat. It's pretty good.
This sounds like the plot of Triangle of Sadness.
Basically, except for the boat doesn't crash.
Oh, so far you haven't got into the end of the season.
I mean, that's true. I'm only a few seasons in, but I hope it doesn't crash. There's also a camera crew on it, which I know. So yeah. Well, was Chester A. Arthur your favorite president?
I don't think so. He like I think okay. Well, let me just say. So he was sick. Let me give you the ending here. So he was sick shortly after becoming president. He was diagnosed with Bright's disease, which is a kidney ailment, and is now referred to as nephritis or something. He kept it secret, and then by the end of his presidency, he was starting to get really sick. So they like took him south, hoping that it would. They took him to Florida, hoping that it would fix it, but it like made it worse. So instead, they took it to they took him to Yellowstone National Park, and apparently that helped. But the one thing I want to mention is that old Julia Sand one day got a knock at her door.
Oh,
And it was the President of the United States coming to
Oh.
visit.
that's fun.
Yeah.
BFFs.
He eventually paid her a visit. Which I thought was a nice little ending. Ending to his presidency. And so he died I believe a couple months after his presidency.
Really? Because it said he was until 1885, but I guess. Right?
Okay, so it says he died. Arthur's post-presidency was the second shortest of all presidents who lived past their presidency. After that of James K. Polk, who died just 3 months after leaving office. So
Oh,
it
but
was more than 3
got
months.
it. He died 3 months after he ended his term as president.
Polk did, yeah. But Arthur, I'm trying to see how many
Oh, got
months
it.
It was more than 3.
More than 3. But still did his full 4 years before he died. So it was like basically
Yeah.
right at the end. He should have probably stopped for his own health, but decided not to.
Mm-hmm. Then next morning, Arthur. So November 16th, he burned all his papers except for the ones with Julia Sands. And then Arthur suffered a cerebral hemorrhage and never regained consciousness. He died the following day on November 18th at the age of 57.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I kind of like. I think it's a nice like. It's a rare story of someone rising up to the occasion, that they were kind of thrust into this position and they rose above it.
I feel like out
I
of
think
all of the
quite nice.
presidents that have done that, like vice presidents, he's probably the one that did the most, or at least like took it and was like, all right, I'm gonna, in the honor of Garfield, make this happen.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I always like when presidents change.
Yeah.
Over time.
So, what's interesting? So, Garfield was a Republican, but Arthur was a Democrat. But he became a Republican. No.
They were both Republicans,
right,
but one was a stalwart and the other.
Got it. So, but within there were two separate. That makes more sense. So I was like, that's interesting. That because Cleveland is a Democrat, so he's our first Democrat since. Before Lincoln. James Buchanan was our last Democrat, and then... Well, Andrew Johnson switched. He was a National Union, then he was a Democrat. But I don't know if I count that or not. He wasn't like a full...
Yeah, I don't think...
Yeah, because it's during the Civil War,
yeah.
so it's like, it's iffy. And then, yeah. And then we basically like go almost every other with a few stints of back-to-back Republicans. Interesting.
Yeah, I'd say by and the next one is Grover Cleveland, which is the first Democrat. So this is the end of the Republican reign.
Jinx.
I actually heard I think there's a delay. I just repeated after you.
Oh.
No, just kidding. But he's ranked around like he's a mid president, which I think is a good thing.
Yeah.
You know what? Mid
good.
Can be a good thing.
Average is okay,
yeah,
guys. Average is okay.
Mid is okay, y'all, you Zoomers.
Y'all Zoomers. so.
Yeah.
Cool.
Nice little ending. How much time we got? We got about 10 minutes. So, should we chat? Should we chit chat? Should we chit chat GPT?
Yeah, there isn't really any other president movies besides the classic, like, Lincoln or, like, war movie, I guess, right?
There's that series with, John Adams. I'm trying to think.
Oh, really?
Abraham Lincoln Vampire Hunter.
I really enjoyed, there was a series, that I don't think I ever finished because I couldn't find the final season or the most recent season at least, that is all about, I think it's during the Civil War, and it's about this, like, local tradesman who turns, like, spy, and it's him, shuffling correspondence to, oh frick, I can't remember what it was called. But it was like back in 1800, or not, I guess I don't know if 1800 is correct, but like 1870 times, like before George Washington makes it, and they're like fighting. And it's like the British are coming.
Oh, like 1770?
Yeah, I think so. It's been a better one. And I can't remember what it was called. That one was really good because it was like modern in that the like writing was really well done, of like having suspense and there being like, because like his little like Nantucket village or town was under British rule, and so and like he wasn't like a lord, but his dad was like a businessman who was very close and was kind of a supporter of the British, and it was like him feeling shame but like hating the British, like the British like killed his sister or something. And then you had people playing like, so like it was all from his point of view, but then he'd meet Washington, or he'd meet some famous person in the process, and it was like I think loosely based on like historic events.
You can't remember the name?
I can't remember the name. It was a two-word name, and it was like American Spy or Civil something. I'll see if I Google it, if it'll help. Show about spy during the American Civil War. What I also love about these moments is when I can't think of...
Is it the Civil War or
Turn.
the
It's called Turn. Washington Spies.
Turn?
But I also... What I was going to say...
Washington Spy.
What I love about this is, like, someone listening to this and me describing it, there has to be someone who's listening to it who's just, like, yelling because they know what it is, but I obviously can't hear them.
Oh wait, is this? Oh no, this isn't Tom Holland.
No,
This
but
is
it looks
Jamie
like
Bell.
him. It's like a Tom Holland lookalike.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it only went
It's the
4
guy
seasons.
who's Billy Elliot.
Yeah. It only went 4 seasons. It was really fun. Yeah.
Cool. It's a show.
It was a show, yeah.
I feel like I am flying like a bird. Do you know that song?
No.
Like electricity. It's from Billy Elliot. It's about a boy who just wants to dance.
Just a boy who wants to dance. The other one...
You're gonna go see the Barbie movie, Dutch?
So, I've heard that everyone needs to watch Oppenheimer and the Barbie movie. There's a lot
Double
of
feature.
two-sided, like, universes, and they've been kind of joining universes, but they say you need to watch Oppenheimer first, and then watch Barbie afterwards, because Oppenheimer is going to, like, hurt your soul, so you need this, like, lovable pink
Oh, you need to
palette cleanser.
rejuvenate.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I want to see both, but I definitely want to watch it, because it's, what's her face?
I think it's coming out this weekend.
Coming out this weekend, and the director...
Oh, no, it's not. It's not. It's 2
2 weeks,
from
and the director of the Barbie movie, she did Little Women, she did...
Yeah, Greta Gerwig. She
Thank you,
was
Greta.
she was in White Noise. Oh yeah, she's in a great movie called Frances Ha. I don't know if a lot of people have seen that.
Frances Ha?
Yeah, it's got Adam Driver. Who else?
Oh,
Greta Gerwig
yeah,
plays
yeah,
the main
yeah,
character.
Yeah.
It's got what's her face's daughter, Meryl Streep's daughter, Grace Kelly.
Right.
It's kind of a charming little New York movie, black and white. It's very good, very funny, very charming.
Welcome to our section where we review movies because we're looking for things to talk about.
Because we ran out of president facts. So who's the next guy here?
Grover Cleveland, the man with the mustache with the man.
This isn't the guy who was president twice, right?
It is.
No. Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, so what are we gonna do? Are you just gonna tell half of the?
Yeah, I'll
half
do a
of the
part
story
1, part
then?
2.
Yeah, we
Sure.
could do that. Good. Like, yeah, you just learn up to his first
Okay.
one, and then I'll do William McKinley,
Okay.
and then you polish her off with Grover
Alright,
Cleveland
alright.
Part 2.
Looks like he had a falling out with his vice president in his first term, or they died. Because it says...
It wasn't the
Well,
same
it says
guy.
Thomas A. Hendricks vacant after 1885, which is like very early into his presidency. And then it's a
Maybe
different
he did
person.
Oh yeah, he
died,
he
okay.
did die. I think.
It's crazy they just don't replace them, but I guess it's too much hassle.
Mhm.
Who knows? Yeah.
Let me double check you guys. Death and Legacy.
Whoops.
85.
November 25th.
Yeah, okay, he died. He died of a heart attack. Yeah, that's what I was wondering. Like, just because we got some more time. Chester Arthur obviously knew that he was very sick, and he just barely made it to the end of his presidency. Like what? And why wouldn't he be like, hey, maybe we should have a thing where we get a new vice
Yeah, so
president?
replace me, yeah.
Yeah. He was even running. He was running again for another thing. So I guess he just thought he had more time.
I mean, I would argue too that this job, whether it was back in 1881 versus now, I think takes a lot out of these people. Where I'm sure it was adrenaline, go, and the moment his body rested, it was like, oh sweet, all right, see ya, folks. I can die now, right? Yeah, because like I love seeing
In
photos
peace.
of presidents before and after, like them at their inauguration and 4 years
Yeah,
later,
gray
and
hair.
like that 4 years looks like 10, which is a wild.
Yeah, I can't imagine being president.
Yeah,
That's too much work.
I mean, I guess things change over 4 years, but they look sallow and older and wrinkled and yeah,
They've seen
they've
some
seen
shit.
some shit. They just made some harsh decisions that that you got to make as a leader of a country. Which no, thank you.
They saw cannibalism in
Yeah.
action.
Cool. I'll get my.
Did you do anything for? We should probably say we're recording this on July 5th. Yesterday was 4th of July. Did you do anything to celebrate the old American history?
I did not.
Me neither. 'Cause
I
I'm
mean, I
Canadian.
did see. I have some friends that lived in the States, and I had a game night with them over the interwebs on the Monday that we had off because, as you know, it was Canada Day here. And
Yes.
yeah. That was weird for them because they had to work Monday, but they had Tuesday off. Yeah, no, I didn't. I saw a couple fireworks off in the distance, but I didn't like go anywhere to go see fireworks.
Yeah, I didn't see any fireworks. I think there was a fire ban.
Oh, that tracks. I did
here.
hear and see some.
Because everything's been
I
on
did
fire
hear and
lately.
see some, but it was probably
that's-
illegally done by just like local youths. Yeah,
Oh,
it
really?
wasn't. It wasn't a huge display.
Just in the
Yeah,
streets.
yeah.
I heard that a lot of people were just shooting them off Monday because they just like couldn't do it all weekend. So
Fuck
just
it.
like, fuck it,
That's my day.
let's do it.
Ours.
Also, I'd like to apologize to all our American listeners. I'm sorry for all the smoke.
I mean, it's not really.
We're trying our best.
Just what happens before us, you know? It's like, sorry. Sorry, but not sorry, am I right?
Sorry, I guess. Sorry.
At least we have healthcare. Bow!
Yeah, at least we can breathe it in and
Yeah.
still not.
Though
be...
the air quality's got a bit better.
Yeah, I think is the fire still going on?
I think so, but it's less severe. But don't quote me.
Yeah, they're mostly.
I'm a hobbit shut in, so.
Me too.
Living that life, drinking them ales, dancing them jigs. Hobbits.
Oh, do you know if the Barbie movie is about like she comes to the real world?
I think so. Here's the thing. I hate watching trailers nowadays because they give so much away. So I'll usually just watch like the teaser, but then I won't watch the like second and third like release because I find it gives away too much of the plot. But I do know it's almost like they live in a world where there's like everyone's Barbie and everyone's Ken. So they're all different types of Barbies and different types of Kens. So it's not just that Margot Robbie is Barbie and Ryan Gosling is Ken. Like I think Simu Limu's in it as well. He plays. They're all Barbies. They're all Kens. My favorite is the gal from SNL who's the Barbie where her hair is all fucked up because like the kids like chopped it all off and she's been drawn on.
Yeah.
Love that because there's always that Barbie. And then I think
that's where all the Barbies in my household
had no hair.
Yeah. Saved up.
And yeah, and I think something happens where she either leaves that world or she gets kicked out of whatever it is and she has to come to the real world is what I'm understanding of the plot. But beyond that, I don't know what that redemption arc is.
We'll have to see it to find out. I don't want to spoil Oppenheimer, but I heard there was a big explosion in it.
Oh. No fire ban on that.
I don't want to spoil anything. No.
And that one has Cillian Murphy in it.
It's got everyone.
Yeah, I think Margot's in it as well. Margot Robbie's in it as
million.
well, which was a nice dual duty. I'm pretty sure, or I'm lying.
It's got like a stacked cast. Apparently, there's just like famous people who just come in for little cameos and stuff.
Love it.
I think I might
Oh,
just
and
do.
Florence Pugh's in it. Love her.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
is she?
And Robert Downey Jr.
Does it say if she plays?
Jean Tatlock. Yeah.
I don't
Yeah.
know who that is. Jean Tatlock.
Tatlock. Tatlock. And Jean, or Jean, Jed, C-H, Jesus, Jean. And Jake Quaid, Dennis Quaid's son. Jake Quaid, who is in The Boys. Matt Damon.
Mm-hmm.
Rami Malek.
Oh, I love Rami Malek.
Josh Peck. What the heck? Josh Peck was from Drake and Josh.
Oh, she was the romantic interest of Robert Oppenheimer.
There you go. Emily Blunt plays Kitty Oppenheimer, who I guess is the sister of Oppenheimer.
Stat cast.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I guess next week we'll do the first part of What's His Face.
I'll get on it. Happy days. Goodbye, everybody. Thanks for listening.
But only half get on it.
I
Take
promise.
care. Thanks for listening. Arrivederci.
Ciao.